It took me into my late teenage years to be like, oh, my parents were just wrong.
Just wrong.
Just my
Just wrong.
family's just
Yeah.
fucked and wrong. I can now see the world through my own set of eyes. And then you have to rebuild because you have to start from scratch and
Right.
reevaluate. It's a weird thing when you realize how you grew up is not normal and your
Right.
family is wrong. It's a really huge cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
But it really is still my baseline. Like, I get angry, I have to have a level of control over myself, I think, more so than people who grew up and they're like, oh, we talk about our feelings or we don't get upset. And I'm like, oh, boo, I'm always going to want to go into pop-off mode.
Right.
It's my comfort. Unfortunately, it's not the correct thing, but it's where I feel literally at home. So it takes a great deal of restraint and understanding and self-examination to realize that that's not productive and how I want to live. But it's real easy to slip in.
You can't unmake your defaults. They are set in stone before you're 5-10 years old, and then you either choose to double down or resist them, but they don't ever go away.
No, your formative years really do shape who you are, and it's bullshit for people to tell you can't change or you're a victim of your circumstance.
Right.
No, boo-boo. No. As an adult, you can move away, but it's hard as balls, and it takes constant evaluation, constant question, constant education about it, and learning and processing. It took a while for that to really be cemented in my head.
You can get mad and not vent it. You can just like go for a walk in the woods and then come back in an hour and not be mad anymore. Wait, what?
Wait, what?
That's insane.
I think that's why I like hiking so much. First of all, grew up in a cement jungle.
Right.
There wasn't a tree around in the hood.
The only park was
It's
the place
brick,
where it
cement.
was a war zone.
Yeah. No, you don't get green in the hood. And being around nature is really healing. And just, you were packed in poverty. You were in so many people crammed in such a tight space, crammed in the projects. Just as many people in such a small amount of space. And there's chaos. And then you as an adult are like, you can just go walk in the woods and there's open air and no one yelling at you, and you're alone with your thoughts, and there's birds and sunshine and nature, and wait, what? It was mind-boggling.
And there's just something old and primitive when you're in a green environment. It just signals the all clear in your head. You're just like, oh, okay, things are fine. It's a magic thing. I mean, it diffuses you and brings you out of all of your bullshit if you can just spend a few minutes in a very natural. I mean, there is literally a kind of therapy called, I think it's called ART. It's
ART, an acronym for something?
Yeah, it's basically like you spend an hour in the woods and it has massive emotional effects.
Honestly, it's one of the best things is just going with you and hiking for an hour. You're exerting your body, you're getting all the good hormones, you're in nature, you have a deep talk, you have a funny talk.
Theory is that natural environments have kind of the perfect degree of novelty and consistency of which an artificial environment can never have.
Yeah.
So like you go into an arcade, lots of novelty, but no consistency, just blinking lights and blah, 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 and overstimulation. Nature, everything kind of looks the same, but then everything is different all the time.
Yeah.
Just, there's always little critters moving around, the seasons change, there's just movement and wind, and there's something about it which is not well understood, but it just restores emotional control in people. I tell people all the time, like, just try to walk outside for 1 hour a day. And they're just like, why?
I know, I'd rather just a pill.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'll do therapy, I'll do meds, I'll come here for a year and do the same stuff. I'm like,
but walking?
You just won't try a walk? It's like that stuff we were talking about, willpower. there are certain things that lower the willpower costs of activity, and one of them is shame. So you have, or you have your trainer there, like you're not gonna waste it. You're not gonna not work out. No one ever like pays for a trainer and then says, let's just chitty chat.
You want the value.
Right.
No, I've had a couple of clients like that. And I'm like, no, I don't. The only thing I won't give you as a trainer is motivation.
Right.
That's not my job. I have those clients all the time, and I'm like,
can't do it.
I am not going to want this for you. I can offer you nothing. Here are 17 other referrals that will gladly take your money and listen to you bitch. No, not doing it. You need the motivation. Self-motivation. I can't give you anything. I can't give you self-actualization, self-motivation that comes from within. If you let me guide you, you will have that motivation come out. But the best part of it is to not be motivated and do it anyway. Because that's what I do. People are like, how do you get your motivation? I'm like, I don't know. I still haven't found it.
I don't know.
I still don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. I still don't want to lift heavy shit, but I do it because it's good. Motivation maybe follows, but sometimes isn't there at all. You just do it.
Well, I think that's the fundamental mistake people make, is they think it starts with motivation, but it doesn't. Everything starts with faith. If you believe doing those things will make you happier, and you understand the process and you're willing to give it to,
right,
that will create the motivation.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that it will change anything, you have to tyrannize yourself to get moving. And you can only whip yourself into action so much. You can do it to a degree, but eventually you just get tired of whipping yourself, and then you just stop and you just give up. But if you have faith in the process, you won't. Was that like a little family walking on the...
It was this cute little family walking, and you know how one of the girls will go on something that's the equivalent of a balance beam, like a thick fence post, and you hold their hand though because it's a little unsteady, but they get to walk on an elevated surface.
Oh, I love that.
They were doing that, but the person on the balance beam was like an 8-year-old little man, and I think his adult daughter was holding his hand, letting him walk on the fence, and it was adorable.
God. An 80-year-old man walking on the fence post?
He was like a
that's
grandpa
me.
age.
That's gonna be me.
I hope so.
But that's the point. Like you need faith in a process to try it, and that's the thing you were talking about. When you get to that point where you realize everything you know is wrong,
yeah,
you need a model. You need these short interactions with someone who's living and thinking differently to have enough faith to try a different way of doing things.
Do you know what I think is more important than having people as good role models? Evaluation for self and others, because you could get the wrong role model. I've seen that too. I could have come out of the hood and found someone and been like, wow, you're a lot different from what I grew up in. I see you as successful, but you're still a bad person, just in a different way. So I think the first criteria is to, in a calm moment with yourself, decide, this is what I want, these are the good things, these are the bad. Establish your criteria before in a controlled environment, and then when you go out in the world, the filter process needs to happen before you meet the person or have the experience, because you have to have that established, like hardcore boundaries. This is my red line, this is what I like, this is what I don't. So when you experience someone, it's already established. You're like, oh, you're doing that nonsense, hard pass. Or you're doing something different, but that doesn't go against me. It's just different. Let me experience it and learn from you. And that's when you can have role models. But you need to get there and decide for yourself before you're influenced by others, because you could likely be influenced by the wrong people.
If the thesis is you have to start off with the right values before you find the right role models, then how do you come up with the right values?
I think that's a self-evaluation. One, I read everything I could. That
is the secret, reading.
There was trauma in my family, and I'd go in the other room and pick up a book and go, this is how I'm going to get out of it. I cannot physically fight these people, but I can use my brain. And that's what I did. I just, from early childhood, deep dove, had my nose in a book, and read everything I could. And that opened the door because I had such a small, I'm in the ghetto,
Right.
in the hood with the same people. There were 1,000 people around. It was chaos, but they all were the same person.
Right. There's
with
no
the same
diversity of
mind.
thought.
And there's a hierarchy. So if the person at the top, the patriarchy, is saying this, everyone, all those little foot soldiers fall in line and follow. This is the word of God for a person. And you just hear the reverberation. You're like, that doesn't make sense. And they just shut it down and won't listen to you. So then I went, I need more voices in my life. Read everything. And read things you aren't interested in and from points of view that you don't agree with. I watch Fox News and CNN. Well, now I don't watch the news because I just cry.
It's too sad.
But you need both. Like, read the political party you're not in. Read the people that aggravate you. And finding out what my triggers are and then educating myself within those triggers, I either went, oh yeah, this is bullshit, this is appropriate, that I don't like this. Or I learned something about myself because I'm like, this triggers something, but they're not wrong. Let me explore that. And why do I have this view? Why is this upsetting for me? If you read all you can, and this is when I was little, so now there's just so much more access.
Right.
The thing that got me out of the hood was my library card.
When you read a book, you literally superimpose another person's thoughts into your own thoughts. The second you start thinking, you're no longer reading.
I disagree.
Talk.
When I read, I don't bear to their opinion, I evaluate.
I'm not saying you take their opinion, because you're always evaluating.
The first thing I learned was be skeptical.
And that's
Challenge people's views, ideas, not in an aggressive way, but just why? Why the Socrates method?
right.
Why?
But
over
that's
and over.
but that's-
Or how I grew up. ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
But that's the thing is, it's like that myth of multitasking. People think that they can multitask, but in reality, when you're supposedly multitasking, you are just switching between individual tasks quickly. You're not actually doing two things at once. So if you're evaluating what you're reading, you're stopping reading.
Stopping and starting.
Yes. But when you read, you superimpose the author's thoughts into your brain. Because the second you are not reading, you're not reading anymore. It's not passive. You can't watch a book. You have to read it. And by reading it, you have to literally shut down your own internal voice to achieve the skill of reading. Which means that by reading books, even if you don't agree with them, you are exposing yourself to a different person you'll never meet, and a different thought process that you'll never meet.
Right.
And if you're in a shitty environment with shitty family and you can't escape it, the only way out is by reading books.
Yeah.
It
saved me. I would be a completely different person. The group of people you have around you are the most influential people in your life. So surround yourself with people you're impressed with. When your friends, everyone around you is a schmo, you'll be a schmo.
Right.
And then pick characteristics in the people around you. I admire the people that are in my life. There's no one in my life that I don't have esteem for and I'm not impressed with. And if that doesn't happen, you're not in my life. We can be casual acquaintances.
Sure, yeah, and that's
I can be
lovely.
friendly with you, but if I'm gonna spend time with you and energy on you, you better impress the fuck out of me with something. And it doesn't always have to be intelligence. It's different things. And I like having people from different caveats of life. I find that fascinating. But I think people forget about that or think, well, it's DNA. I have to keep my mom in my life. I have to keep this friend because I grew up with them. It's no, baby. DNA isn't shit. Unless you're at your doctor's office talking about sickle cell anemia, you can just close that. Why am I doing it to myself? Why am I allowing myself to be treated like this, but I wouldn't allow a theoretical person to be treated like this? And that was a light bulb moment for me going, I need to protect myself. And then that will make me take care of the future generations. That's what did it for me, because I wasn't willing to get away to not. But when I met you and I was like, wow, I really hold someone in my heart I love, I care, I'm going to be with you for the rest of my life. My job is to protect you and also be protected by you, and let's better our lives together and grow. I instantly knew I need to cut all the bad people out, and that's what it took. And I hope people can get there before meeting people there, but if you're in that spot, think of it that way. Would you want your partner or your children in this lifestyle and being treated this way? And if the answer is no, find a way out. I had to move 3,000 miles. My ass had to get on a plane just to get the fuck away. But it can be done. It's very difficult, but the quality of life you'll have is so much better.
Well, and that kind of answers the question you had a minute ago. It's like, do you have to always do it for yourself? No. Sometimes you won't do it for yourself.
I don't think I would have done it for myself. I think I would have kept allowing them to treat me the way they do and being exposed to what I was. When you grow up in that environment, you don't have a strong sense of self-worth. That's how they control you, by diminishing you and treating you poorly. People who don't feel good about themselves are very easily controlled.
But if you're in that environment, it's not just emotionally hard to get away from the family, it's logistically hard. Like,
yeah, and when you're in poverty, moving, figuring all that out,
right,
so much harder.
It was like when you got the bank accounts for all the porn stars, and they're like, wait, I don't have to just hand my checks over to this dude?
I know. When we went to California, I worked in real estate, and a lot of my clients were successful porn stars. And they come in and they were just like, here, do it, I don't want to think, or here's just money. And I'm like, what? I mean, I remember that girl who won the Porn Star of the Year award. I saw her on TV, and she's just pulling out of her purse like all these money orders. And I'm like, girl, deposit them. And she's like, I thought these were just tax paperwork. I'm like, this is like
20 grand.
Cash.
Like,
this is $20,000 and it's crumpled up. And she thought it was a tax document. She's like, oh, they gave me cash and that. I'm like, yeah, you get a deposit and then a full check. I had to walk her ass and then open. And then she's like, so now we have sex or I give you money. And I'm like, no, people can just do things without you like paying for it. Like she was just being like.
But that was, I think that was probably a formative experience for her too, because it was like, she probably had never experienced a non-transactional moment in her life. You're like,
no, she was so shocked and just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, you're taking care of me and not preying upon me. I mean, she was literally a porn star, so I'm sure how she grew up and her life was a lot different. And she was used to predators. And I'm like, you can just say no to stuff, and you can just be in control and sign contracts and do this, and only do that activity on set with the people you choose, not everyone. It's not required. I mean, I'm not in that world. I don't know how it really works. I get the reality of life.
No, but you can find an accountant to do your taxes that you don't have to have sex with.
Yeah, she was having sex with her accountant and lawyer. I'm like, if you're paying them, they're your employee. You are in control. And it blew her mind. And I went, and there's more than one, darling, and look at the money you make. Like, they would be happy to help you out.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who would just be like, no, I'll just do the job for you by the hour. Like,
yeah, and
I'm the whore. I'm your whore.
Yeah, let your accountant lawyer be your whore. And you need to know what the fee is. If people are professionals, they have rates just like you. It's not undetermined. You don't get the service and then work out the payment plan.
Right.
And that blew her mind. And then when she was like, oh wow, like, you're just a good person not taking advantage of me, and you just as a human being wanted, like, as a woman, want to see another woman just safe and not judge what she did. I'm like, girl, go make your money, do what you need to do. Like, good on you. Skills,
well,
but
not good on you.
Not good on you,
not
but
judgment, but like, this is not healthy.
no, it's not healthy for you, but I also don't need to judge your life circumstance, and I don't need to treat you differently because you're on film doing whatever.
No, I mean you can recognize something's not healthy, but also not judge it. You know,
Right. I think that's what I'm saying. I'm not like,
Right.
yeah, girl, like, let me drive you to the audition. But, you know, I grew up in a crazy world. I don't judge people doing what they have to do, but take care of yourself. And there's just smarter things to help you handle it. And then honestly, because of her, she brought, I basically got real estate for the entire porn industry, because when she trusted me, she's like, I have these 20 girlfriends that are being taken advantage by these guys, and I basically was a real estate agent who became a financial planner for a bunch of porn stars. And I did really well by treating them with respect, not taking them advantage, and being like, here's what will make your life better, and here's a little guidance.
And you're the kind of person that has always, you don't really think about it when someone needs to be helped. You're just like, oh yeah, I just helped her get a bank account. Like I didn't.
Yeah, I went from working with porn stars to becoming a nurse.
You're like, I'm on lunch right now. Wait, I can't watch you lose 10% doing check cashing.
I saw the crumpled things.
I can't stand it.
I can't, girl.
It's a bad deal.
20 grand to me and 20 grand to you, I get, are different amounts of monies, but
right.
No, baby girl.
I just can't watch this happen.
No. And let me teach you how to say no. Or decide.
Yeah, there's people like that. But until you meet one, the idea that there's people like that doesn't even occur to you.
All these women didn't realize they were in control. And I went, no, let me change your perspective instantly.
Well, I mean, that's how the sex industry has always worked. That's every pimp in the world. Like
exactly. They had professional pimps.
Yeah.
They just don't they call them managers. But I thought, you get to decide. You can have sex with anyone you want, but you get to decide.
Yeah, other than this guy's complete manipulative energy, like he doesn't bring anything to the table.
Right. And then all these services that have nothing to do with porn, taxes, finance, real estate, those aren't worlds that they can, but they don't run on sex. You can just have employees who work for you and not be exploited by them.
And that's always the best way in a family or in anything to exploit someone, is to keep them in a bubble where they're not exposed to other...
Funny, they all flooded in and they all thought the same way. And I'm like, no. I mean, I remember the first one came in and brought her friend and was like, tell her the thing that you told me, that we're allowed to have bank accounts. And I'm like, who told you you can't have your own personal bank account? And they would do stuff like, no, you're let me do this for you, and I'll take care of it. Like, you can have someone take it for you, but you just need full access upon questioning.
Right.
Your account should never hold numbers from you upon request. Like, you should be able to, even if they do all the work, you should have full access to it. You need a statement every month. They didn't know what a statement was.
Well, they didn't know anything because they were all raised in the same environment. They all got on a bus at 15.
I got it, yeah. And then anyone who would have helped them and would have done the right thing and not exploit them were the type of people who judge their lifestyle.
Right.
So it was this weird sense of like, there's no judgment. I'm not going to lecture you. I'm not going to look down on you. But also I can just be a human being and guide you. It was such a weird dynamic to be wearing a full suit around 20 female porn stars walking to the bank. Like, no, we're just going to sign up. We're going to get you an account.
That was LA, though. It was this weird place.
And then I flew back home, went 3,000 miles and worked in a home. Not.
Sorry, I can't get over. Sorry.
It's all right. We're going to go wherever we're. This might just not be in the cards today.
We'll find out. Hold on.
But then I went from a shit ton of money in LA to being a nurse in a homeless shelter.
Yeah.
And
it did well in both environments.
You just gotta take care of people, treat them with respect, and just be a good person and take care of people. Don't judge their lives, just try to help them out.
And look, you would have... Again, I think it comes back to that idea you said about having value, knowing what your values are. Because you could have made more money acting different. Now,
Oh, I
would that
could have
mean-
made
right.
so much money. Girl was like, here's 20. Like, do you want it? I'm like, do not give me your money.
Do not give me your money.
Do not. Kind of want 20 grand. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd
I'd
be
love to take your money order right
I
now.
like money.
From
That'd be
Big Dick
super.
Corp. But, oh my God, the names of the companies
Oh,
they would
God.
get paid of, like Suck a Dick LLC,
LLC, yes.
Jerk It Incorporated. It was so hysterical. Because I basically just did finance for them, and they'd come and hand me money orders and checks, but the names from the checks were so hysterical. And sometimes they'd be made out to their entertainment name, which was funny too, and not their biological, birth certificate name, and it would just be hysterical.